Hi. So yesterday we looked at doing a bit of printing, which is what I do all the time, and we're printing with the plants, onto some material. So I just wanted to recap on that because this was like one of the plants that we were using. So it's just Queen Anne lace, like spread out and pressed, and we put it onto this shiny card. So, and I used like a backing paper, like a piece of painted paper like this, so that you got the resist of the plant when I pressed it on this little heat press. And so that was a really lovely print. But this, to me, was the one that I really preferred, which is the second print, where a lot of the ink goes onto the plant and creates like a halo effect. So I think that was really lovely and stunning. So just wanted to recap with that. So tonight I'm going to share with you what happens when we print with our earrings. So I've got quite a few earring orders, like some jewellery that I need to make for a new stockist, and some retail orders as well that came through on the website. So I thought I would show you how that's done. So I've got here some little mini transfer designs here, and this is the design that I did. This is the bigger version of it on a cushion. So we actually do I do the artwork, scan it in, then we digitize that artwork, and it will come up with a different product. So you can have one this size, or like a floor lamp, or like a really big lampshade, but equally the same design will actually become this small as well, so for little earrings. So I'm putting that onto my press. I've got these little cut pieces of metal for making my earrings, so I'm going to put those onto the press as well, so that we will see what happens. Now, what does happen is that the heat of this press, this isn't a press that I usually use. I use one that swings away. The heating element swings, which is fantastic, because what it means is that the paper doesn't curl, but because this is really hot, the paper is curling. I mean, not that you need to worry about that. That's for me to sort out. I'm just like letting you know that that's what's happening. I've had to sort of make the paper behave. And I'm going to put that down in place. Probably would have wanted a bit more pressure. This machine, you can't really adjust the pressure of it, so I usually build it up with more paper or another piece of silicone or something, but I haven't done that, so hopefully they'll come out okay. I've never actually printed earrings on this little press, but we'll see how it goes. So if anyone's got any questions while I'm like doing this demonstration, then please let me know. I'd really love to hear from you. Oh good, it's actually counting down this time. So I'm going to do about 40 seconds, but because that will, I would say, be enough. So we have here the metal. Now, this is where I would usually have heat gloves, but I don't have my heat gloves. So I'm just going to be really technical about it and use the cuffs of my cardigan. But as you can see, these are the tiny earrings. I don't know whether that can be seen well, but they have printed beautifully. And just for anyone that might know about printing on aluminium, these are actually, this is anodized aluminium. So basically I buy in the metal and it's not sealed. It's like the pores of the metal are open. So what happens is when I press them, I'm putting colour into the metal, because the pores are all open, and so the colour attaches to the metal, and the way that you seal the metal is these will have to go into just a domestic steamer for an hour, and then that means that they'll be permanently sealed, so they'll become like those little earrings they will never fade, they will just always keep on going because they're, you know, the seal is all done. So anyway, so that I really wanted you to see the anodized aluminium. Now, before we worked with anodized aluminium, we used to print onto like a resin finish aluminium, which was really glossy, and we really loved that. And I wanted to show you about that as well. So this is like a nice glossy one that is for a cuff bracelet. So like printing them all flat and then I curve them. The cuff shape is like this. This one is an anodized cuff bracelet, which is what we sell now, but we used to sell these resin ones, and I wanted to show you how they print, because when I first started printing with these, it was fantastic because I didn't need to put it in the steamer. The colours would come out really vivid, but I would also print using the plants or feathers directly onto the metal. So I'm going to do that because I haven't done that in a long time, and I just thought, well, why don't I demonstrate that? This is one of like the necklaces that we used to use. So I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to think about what to press. I might actually go with this favourite plant from yesterday because I love it so much, and see how it's going to press. But I'm also wanting to make sure I get the colours right, so I'm going to just remind myself of where it is placed. So excuse me while I do that, and can't really figure that one out very well. I wonder, let's have a look. Yes, maybe it's that, maybe it's this one. Oh, wow, it's really not jumping out at me. I might have to just wing it. I think it is that side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this onto here. So we've got like a nice design on this part of the necklace. Now I would probably be inclined to go with having a few extra bits onto this, but I think I'm going to leave that for today and just get the central bit, and that will go onto the press. And actually I might do a couple of little ones, see how that goes. And then I need to put a piece of like painted paper on it so it works as a resist. And I'm just getting one for that. Sometimes when I've got these papers, you get bits of plants stuck to them. I wonder, is that? That's probably a better one. Okay, and let me just put a bit of paper underneath that so it doesn't go onto the actual press. Do you know, I think I'm just going to keep with the main part of this design on here. Now, this is really, it is sort of guesswork a little bit. We'll see how it goes because I want to and then it's also trying to get the whole necklace onto the press, which is an interesting in itself to make sure it's all covered. Right, okay, let's see. Oh, I did want to build it up a wee bit, because remember I said it wasn't very high. So I'm going to just put a little bit more paper underneath, just to give it a bit more. And then I'm going to have to check and see that it's all lined up again. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Talk among yourselves, because this is just a little bit footery, and it's very hard to gauge whether I've got it in the right place, so it might not be, but we'll just hope that it is. And then I'm just going to leave that to do its stuff for probably, well, we usually put them in for about a minute, which is pretty amazing when you think like that you're making like a nice piece of jewellery and using a plant to make the jewellery happen. So we'll just see. But yeah, I've loved working with this process, and it is quite technical, especially when we moved from using like this metal that I've got here. It became less reliable and would chip off a little bit, so that's why we moved over to anodized aluminium, and that took a long time to change that, because what happened is like the colours were all very different, so we had to recalibrate all of the colours of all of the designs, and it was a really time-consuming process. Let's see whether this buzzes. Oh, well, there you go, it does. So that's a minute. So, dun dun dun, and we'll just see whether this has worked. But you know, it has actually worked, and I think you'll be quite pleased to see this. I'm certainly really pleased to see it. So let me just get a bit of paper to hold it, because it is really warm. I mean, it could have been a bit like more of a contrast, but you can see, oh, it's really warm. I think what I'm going to have to do is do this. So you can see that the design has gone on to the metal, and that's really fab. I mean, you can see on here that plant is a bit more of a precise print on this silvery card, but it's still really fantastic on that metal, and I think that's quite a nice little necklace. And so that's how they all happened. That's how they all were at first. And what I would do is just curve the metal slightly, so that we would just put like the chains on each side, and then these like were little crescent necklaces that we could use. Hi Mandy, hi Mandy. It's great to have you on. So yes, so that's a bit of jewellery. That's what I do. So it's like, obviously I'm printing onto lots of different surfaces, and to tell you the truth, reel back all the way to art college, that was always what I was interested in. I was just printing on as many different surfaces as possible to see what would happen, and it's just always about exploring, like, what happens if I put this plant with this you know, coloured paper onto metal, onto glass, onto ceramics, you know, onto like different materials, so onto paper. So it's just always about an exploration, and then once I get something that works like this, then I can start selling it. And that's what we did. That's how the business started. But it was all just using the plants. So these were all one-off pieces, and that wasn't sustainable. That's because once you're starting to sell to shops and, you know, operating a bigger business, then you have to have reproduction prints, really, so that you can actually meet the demand of people wanting to order the jewellery or anything else. So just giving you a little bit of an idea of what happens behind the scenes of this business. So and have a wonderful evening, everyone, and it's been great to share.